And the winner for most charming presenter is Fit to be Read. Hi, I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read. I didn't really win. This is just my gas bill. Please let me know in the comments if I tricked you. Seriously though, I've had a chance to read all of the Nebula nominated short stories for 2021, and I'm going to talk about that with you right now. I want to point out that I'm presenting these in the context of being award nominees. I really enjoyed each story and I have many positive things to say about them. If I were simply reviewing them independent of their nomination, the review would probably be a little bit less critical. My brief review of them in this episode will come from a harder line of judgment, as the lens that I'm viewing them through is, does this story live up to Best of the Year? We'll kick things off with Proof by Induction. This is written by Jose Pablo Iriarte, and this appeared in the 40th edition of Uncanny Magazine. In this story, a professor struggling to be granted tenure at a university enters a virtual reality where he can interact with his recently deceased father. Both of them being mathematicians and the father being an artificial, non-sentient, and emotionless simulation, they spend most of their time focused on mathematics. The story has a great flow, the over-your-head math language is very minimal and it's easy to breeze through without slowing the read down. It's a very good story, but there aren't any real wow moments that would suggest to me that the story should win an award above other very good stories. Next up is Mr. Death by Alex E. Harrow. This appeared in the February edition of Apex magazine. This short follows a Grim Reaper who must deal with his first non-adult client. The story sheds a light on how Reapers are selected and the relationships that they have with their assigned cases. This was a good read with an interesting perspective, getting inside of the head of a Reaper. This gave me Touched by an Angel vibes, if anybody gets that reference. While it wouldn't land for me on a list of must-read short fiction, I would expect most to feel satisfied with the read. I also really enjoyed Let All the Children Boogie by Sam J. Miller. The first half of this story, I was very much feeling no connection. The music reference and nostalgia, it just wasn't a strong hook for me, and the gender ambiguity element that felt promising to me took a little bit of time to get where it was going. The story focuses on two teenagers who develop a very strong bond and their search for a mysterious voice they hear on the radio and muse over whether it might be from the future. I had some very mild This Is How You Lose the Time War vibes, though this short story worked a little bit better for me than that novella did. There was a really interesting moment where a pronoun is used in haste, and I felt that that might come back to be a significant moment in the story. It never was, and I felt that that was a missed opportunity. I feel like I want to ask the author if there was at any point a consideration for that moment to cause a rift between the two main characters. Despite my earlier comments regarding the music, I do recognize a message in the story about the power of music to connect us, and it really works in this story in that regard. I do love to see representation of nonconformity and gender diversity in science fiction. That, along with the story being really well paced, makes me glad that I read it. It's a very good story, and the most science fiction of all of the nominees. Next up is Laughter Among the Trees by Suzan Palumbo. This appeared in the February 2021 edition of The Dark magazine. Palumbo delivers a gut-wrenching and a marvelous short story. This reads pretty much like horror and a ghost story. Palumbo attaches us right away with 14-year-old main character Anna. Anna's family, a family of immigrants in Toronto, save for her younger sister Sab, who was born on Canadian soil, goes on a camping trip. Anna's relationship and responsibility toward her sister serves as a strong foundation for the plot. Palumbo, in just a few pages, delivers. Also nominated is For Lack of a Bed by John Wiswell. This appeared in Diabolical Plots magazine, number 74. This was a cute story with monsters and I think aliens. The story centered on an individual with trouble sleeping because of chronic pain and a possible devil's bargain to eliminate that pain and be able to sleep. The story might have benefited from a little more insight into the main character's pain to perhaps engage the reader more with her suffering. It probably would have interfered with the story being cute and fun, but it would have felt more complete. The story was creative, but it is another that I maybe wouldn't consider nominating for an award. Finally is Where Oaken Hearts Do Gather by Sarah Pinsker. This was published in Uncanny Magazine, issue 39. This was a fairly complex story presented in an original and perhaps purposely non-complex format. The story investigates and seeks to explain in depth the meaning of an old ballad, Where Oaken Hearts Do Gather. Not coincidentally, it's the same ballad that's been playing throughout this episode. The familiar, not familiar format of the story is that of an internet forum and a comments thread. Unfamiliar, of course, because short stories are not presented this way. Familiar, of course, because we've all seen internet articles with comment threads. Because of the unique presentation, the strength of the storytelling, and Pinsker's ability to draw you in and build the suspense, especially in this type of format, I expect this to be a real contender. I absolutely enjoyed each of the nominated stories, and I appreciate being able to discover and recognize how talented each of these writers are. After reading all of the stories, my expectation would be that the winner of the Nebula Award for Best Short Story will be either Where Oaken Hearts Do Gather by Sarah Pinsker or Laughter Among the Trees by Suzan Palumbo. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts. This is Fit to Be Read, and check out this video too.